Welcome to the Dr. Millennium podcast. I'm Dr. Millennium, and we're in space.
You're who?
Dr. Millennium.
Oh, you've taken the title.
I've taken over. I've gotten. What do you mean? I mean, I'm Dr. Millennium. I don't know what you're talking about.
So when did this happen?
And this is my random guess. What's your name again?
My
And now the episode will be containing about politics. What are we doing?
So my name's Dick Valentine, and ironically, I love Dick. It's amazing. Do you want to give me this power because we can keep going?
I think I'll take back my my rightful title.
You gonna dip back on that one? Okay.
I'm Dick Valentine.
I'm Dr. Millennium, and today we are actually talking about politics.
And not
for whatever
dicks.
reason. So
Maybe some dicks.
We'll get into this. We're basically planning to shit on both political parties a little bit. Why don't we flip a coin and see which one goes first?
Okay. I say tails. We really didn't have a fucking coin. Let's just start with Let's start with Democrats. Why not?
You didn't have to say we didn't have a coin because we didn't even have fucking odds picked. But yeah, okay, we'll start with Democrats.
Do you hear that coin flip?
We'll start with
there you
Democrats.
go.
We'll start with Democrats.
There's my imaginary
right, thank
coins.
you. I appreciate that. We'll start with Democrats. Would you like to lead off?
No, you need to lead off because if I give you know how it is.
Okay, so
if I lead off, I just take over.
Here's the thing: Democrats recently have they've stopped winning, and that's kind of where I want to come from. Is like, why? Why have they stopped winning? What's changed?
Okay, since what time specifically are we speaking? Are we talking about modern day, 20 years ago?
Absolutely,
modern day.
Very recently, like I'm talking current events.
Absolutely. I mean, no one can disagree with that. Ever since for the past 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, since Obama left, it's been
they've been losing badly.
Yeah, and the funny part is they had opportunities where they could really come in and
change things
and step their fucking foot right and press the pedal to the metal. They really could have done that so many times. Perfect example. When that election came up, and it all really started with Hillary and Bernie. Yeah. Clearly, the consensus people wanted for the main leader was Bernie Sanders. But the Democratic Party, we're not going to fund him. We're going to fund Hillary Clinton. Now, Hillary, she's not a bad person, but of course, she's got some scandals under her belt, but it's like every politician. Every politician's got some fucking scandal, something that they did. They had an affair, or they did something overseas that we don't know about for a Cayman Islands account. But with Hillary and Bernie, everyone wanted Bernie Sanders to be the lead runner for the Democratic Party. And they were like, oh, we're going to fund money to Hillary. We're going to fund it. And it came and bit them back in the ass because then Republicans took that as an opportunity and literally pissed off voters were like, I voted for Bernie and I'm going to vote for fucking Trump now. I'm just going to whatever. So, yeah, ever since that Hillary, I mean, every type of office that you could think of, Republicans have just been clearing house right now for the past 2 years, 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I do think it started with the election. It started with Bernie saying like, "Oh, thanks, we're for this grassroots campaign. It's great. Oh, sorry, I lost. We're gonna give all your grassroots money to Hillary now, so she can." But she didn't. I mean, I don't think she really had a chance. I think Bernie would have had a better chance.
Oh yeah, much better
he
chance.
Just didn't have a mobile voter base.
Yeah, and the problem is also it's like with Hillary, she was, how do I say it? She just has always had that unlikable personality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like when you look at Hillary, it's not the same when you look at Obama. I mean, remember, because people got short-term memory, they forgot she went against Obama.
Yeah.
And if you look at credentials for Obama and Hillary, I mean, you have to be an idiot, right, to say that Hillary should not have won that election. She had much more better credentials, much more time, the esteemed name, oh, I'm Clinton, right? Obama still money coming in. Like, I'm not saying like she was a much better person. I mean, Obama came from money too. I mean, his Michelle, his wife, also was a lawyer for big corporations, things like that. But yeah, in terms of like success and credentials and all that, I mean, you've got senator with no name Obama, and then you got Hillary. But the thing is, Obama had what we would call that swagger, that cool suave thing coming in, and people really like would look at Obama and be like, wow, and then they looked at Hillary like she just seemed like one of those mean nannies. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick.
No, I kind of get where you're coming from. Like, people want to pretend that they make judgments based on facts and reason, but really, you look at somebody and that's your first opinion. I also think that Obama did himself a lot of favors by never going around clanging pots and pans together, screaming, "I'm black." Like the most he did was his campaign slogan was amazing. It was hope and change. It's not, look at me, I'm black. It's hope and change, which is great. It's positive, forward thinking, something new. That was perfect. It was spot on.
Yeah, and him being
Hillary kind of ran around clanging pots and pans together, going, I'm female, I deserve this. Like it was straight up said, I believe, like a direct quote. Like one of her strengths that she would bring to office was her gender. Like that's not
really a strength. Yeah,
we want your character, not your statistics. We can see that you're a female. We want to know why we should vote for you. Well, I'm a female. Okay, but why should we vote for you?
Like, bring up your other stuff.
Yeah,
bring up the fact that
bring up everything
you have a resume.
Your entire like really really prestigious resume.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But it's just like, again, you let the foot off the pedal with Bernie's situation here, because she did the same shit before, in my personal opinion. Obama, that card was there to use, but he's like, I'm gonna let people get to that. They were like,
people can look at me and see that I'm black.
They don't need to
scream it in their face from the mountaintops.
Exactly. So with Hillary, Bernie, that's where it began, and we both can agree on that. Where it's like, from that point forward,
well, I think
it's just been L after
L
L after L.
I do think there was something, just the way that everything has been turning, as far as like the political shit posting goes. You have one side of the aisle, everybody's a sexist or racist. If you disagree with me, you're a racist. You're sexist. You're a Nazi. Like, think about that comparison. You're comparing somebody who maybe they're a single issue voter. Maybe they're like, you know what? To me, being able to own a gun is the most important thing. And you're saying to them, you are literally as bad as somebody who was okay with the imprisonment and murder of millions of people. Like, you're okay with genocide because you have this one political opinion. That's such a bloated hyperbole, but these people genuinely believe it.
Yeah.
They genuinely, oh my God, abortion is your single issue? You don't agree with abortion for religious reasons? You're a Nazi.
Maybe some people, when
the logic, when it hits somebody's face like that, like if I were to say, and this is not my belief, but if I were to walk up to you and say, Dick, I genuinely believe that human life starts at conception. So if you take that life and prevent it from existing, that is the same as murder. So I can't co-sign this.
And I look at you, Dr. Millennium. I'm quitting today. I'm putting in my papers. I have 3 baby mamas. I have 3 baby mamas, and this is just not going to work. Would be exactly quote for quote.
Yeah. Well, but it's like that. If you're blowing things this far out of proportion, people will stop listening to you. If we're, I'm obviously head of Dr. Millennium Enterprises, so all the HR complaints file through to me. So when our secretary accuses you of grabbing her ass, and I go on the cameras and I see that you grabbed her ass,
yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna high five you, but I'm also gonna, tell you there's the door.
But then you'd hire me back.
Yeah, and then hire me back under a different thing. Yeah, we take care of our own.
Thank you. Okay.
However, if you walk in and you smile like, "Hey, Deborah, how you doing today?" And she comes back, "Oh, he leered at me, and I could feel his violent sexual energy."
How can you feel the sexual energy? Because of the eye contact. I looked at the eyes, and it was just...
But here's the thing.
It was
if you're taking something and blowing it that... Like, because realistically, like, this is not too far from shit that has happened to people. Like, oh, he smiled at me, and he was just in such a leering fashion. Okay, so you're taking this, and you're turning it into, like, essentially what boils down to sexual harassment.
Yeah.
So now, who's going to take you seriously? And the whole political party... And it's not every single person who identifies as Democrat blowing things out of proportion like this, but the minority that do it, the 1% who blow everything up into like you're a rapist and a Nazi and a misogynist.
And again, the 1%, unfortunately, really are usually the ones that have the most power. That have the most power.
Yeah.
Sad to say.
So the rest of the country is looking at this going, oh my God, like I don't want to be seen as the Nazi party, but I don't want to be seen as the crybaby bitch party either. Because then you start hearing more and more, and it's like, oh my
now
God.
you're in that limbo.
Well, because you start out, it's like, oh my God, they said this, they're fascists. Well, it happens again. Oh, well, they weren't really fascist last time. Are they really fascist this time? Okay, well, I'm still outraged. Don't worry, I'm still outraged. And then it happens again. Oh my God, man, I mean, come on. They're not fascists. They're just assholes that I don't like. And that realization hits, and
you gotta have that line where there's reality and then there's your fiction.
Like my drive to go to the polls to back somebody like that diminishes every time I hear something that, well, it's not that, like, let's say, okay, so Donald Trump is running for president. He is literally a KKK Nazi, but, well, nothing's been done about it because it's not true.
There's nothing there.
He's somebody you don't like. So far, I mean, he's pardoned, like, 5 black dudes. Like, that's happened under Trump, not Obama. Like, Trump pardoned a bunch of people who were in prison who were black.
But then again, I'll add on top of this.
Please.
It's social media.
Oh,
having a huge effect. See, back in the day, when something amazing happened in terms of the Olympics, be covered.
Yeah.
And then if you were there in person, you would say, I saw Carl Lewis win that gold medal. I saw this athlete did this. I just saw all this amazing thing happen, and I was in person and I saw it. Now today, right? You'll see Usain Bolt. Oh, it's Usain Bolt! Wait a minute. Like, I know the races are 100 meters and they last between 9 seconds to 12 seconds. But I'm going to take a Snapchat and miss the entire moment. Yeah. Like, the entire moment of me just taking it in and soaking it in
really
and just paying attention.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my phone, ruin it by taking a selfie and a picture.
It's like that picture at the museum. It's some museum where it's like the Mona Lisa, and somebody went back to the back wall across from it and just took a picture of everybody pressed against it with their iPads and their phones and shit. It's like, why are you there? You can look at a picture of the Mona Lisa on the computer. Like, I could go to Google and type in Mona Lisa and see the picture, but to physically be there exactly,
and look at it yourself visually, you're just wasting your time by taking those pictures when you can just, like you said, look it up later. And that's the problem. 100% this perception and people's misinterpretation of things is caused by social media. When people will read an article, and whether it's something super liberal or conservative, instead of sitting there and saying, I'm going to do my own research, I'm going to look this up myself. No, they'll take it face value. So if they read Donald Trump, KKK member, and it's, I knew it. I knew Donald Trump was a KKK member.
Him, and now I have an excuse.
There
we go.
What's your source? We make funnypoliticsnews.com.
Yeah.
See, that's my source. Vice versa. Well, you want to know something? Obama was a terror. Where's his papers?
Where are his birth?
Where's his birth certificates confirming this? Well, he showed it twice, which he really didn't have to because he could have said "fuck off." No. But we saw it. It could have been fake. It could have been legitimate.
That's obviously fake.
And you know where I go? Where'd you get your information? Well, there was this report printed out, fake certificate proof, and who's the source? The Onion Report. Oh, the Onion Report was your source. Oh, yeah, sure. No. So, what you have to do? You have to pat them on the head. Be like, oh, good job. I'm glad you can read. You can read. And you read the title. That's a good step. But it's like, at the end of the day, people will take these fake sources. And literally, it's funny, the Onion Report. There are fake outlets that literally say we make fun of people, how stupid they are, believing articles all the time without actually looking it up and researching it themselves.
Yeah.
How lazy they are. So, dude, it's 100%. 1,050% social media's fault that the reason people are perceiving the way things are today, whether it being like hatred for a political party or individual or even an idea, like you post something up and you'll say, oh, this is my opinion. Oh, you get fucking castrated for this. For what?
Well, here's a counter to that. Well, and maybe it's not a counter exactly, but do you think that social media is causing... So historically, the African-American vote has been purely in the pocket of Democrats.
Yes.
Never wavering for a second. I think maybe for Reagan there was a little bump.
But it wasn't anything.
And for Trump there was a small bump too, but I think more and more now that's starting to not be the case because realistically, what what have Democrats done for the African American community besides say, hey, we like you guys? Constantly reassuring, hey, by the way, we like you guys. Continue living in poverty. We're not going to help you, but we like you.
And you know what I have to say for that? I'm gonna have to say for that counterpoint that unfortunately, sad as it may be, it's just the way politics just works. Whether it's Democrat and Republicans,
I agree with you.
And it's just when people think about it like this, they'll say, "Oh, first of all," and this is my opinion. Maybe we'll touch upon this before. I think having two-party systems that we've been having for like years, we can have a whole discussion, but it is a broken system, whether people want to admit this or not, because there are two sides of the same coins working for the same team, and that's the super elite corporations, big fundings. Back in when first, and I'm just going to give a quick little history on this. Back when the radio was introduced and television was introduced, right? And Nixon versus Kennedy, right? Nixon was just sweating, and people watching the debate, Kennedy versus Nixon. They said, "Oh, Nixon obviously lost that. Kennedy had a great smile, swabbed hair, dressed sharp, and Nixon's over there, a little husky, older, and just, sweating bullets." But then hearing the debate over the radio, people were like, "Wait a minute, Nixon sounded like he beat Kennedy." So there was that. So that was like the setup to show that we're entering an age of faster communication, and it kind of is that disparity where now we have radio, we have television, but now it's like a split between who won a debate. Obviously, Kennedy won, and we know how the history went from that point. But from that point forward, it's just been more funding, more money, and if we look at lobbyists, right, our founding fathers of this country. Why do lobbyists exist? That should go against every constitutional thing that we have here.
It should go against a common sense thing.
Common sense thing on top of that too. You're basically saying, I pay you money, do me favors when you get in office. Yeah. Like, that's just a breakdown. That's just what it is.
Yeah, they're the brokers for that.
And so now we sit here and we're saying money has infiltrated politics, and now it's influenced politics. I don't care if you're a fucking Democrat, if you're a super conservative, I don't care what fucking party you are. You have to be an idiot to believe that big corporations are not the ones winning at the end of the day. No,
absolutely.
People will be getting screwed. And like you said with the Democrats, you have promises to say like, "Oh, well, blacks and Spanish and Chinese and Arabs and all you minorities, guess what? We care about you. We and they had their votes in their pockets all the time over the years. And now as time
and it's been an in-group kind of exclusive thing. Like, oh, well, if you're a black dude and you lean Republican, you get blasted by the community. Like, you can't be. But I think, and this is kind of, I would like your opinion on this more. Do you think now, especially, people are looking at this and they're saying, Democrats have been saying forever, like, we love black people, and not doing anything, whereas Republicans have kind of been more on like we just want U.S. citizens to do better. Like, we don't care. So I think if you asked a Republican, and I heard this on another podcast, I'll try to remember which one and credit them later, but it's like, do you think a Republican would be more okay with living beside a law-abiding gay black woman or a law-breaking straight white male? Realistically
speaking. Which one has, and I'm going to throw this at you, which one has money?
You think a Republican cares about their neighbor's financial status over?
This is my thing again. If that person is is a lawbreaker, how much of a disturbance are they? Are they the type of individual that pays their taxes, right? Because these things do take effect. Yeah. Neighborhood have taxes. Things have to be maintained. Sewage, property. So if they're maintaining their...
So you think that the degree of law breaking matter? If it's just, oh man, this person next door is always like smoking crack and the smell is getting into my house, versus, oh wow, they committed tax evasion for 45 years and they've got a secret bank account in Switzerland. You think it's going to be different?
I think it is. Okay. I do. I believe, because at the end of the day, there's the white collar crimes. There's tax evasions, racketeering, all that, where it's behind the doors and it really doesn't cause much of a disturbance in the neighborhood. Now, the only time it will affect, again,
which person would they have more respect for?
which person they would have more respect for.
That's the question. It's not whether they care that they're living next door because of the like a loud person. It's
okay.
So your neighbor is this way or this way?
And I think
is there a difference in respect?
And I think two things. And you shouldn't really base things off of these two things alone for people.
No, I agree, but
so let me just
for sake of example, for sake of Republicans are racist. Are they? Is it racist? Is it homophobia, or is it something else? Is it respect?
I believe two things. One, money over everything. I believe money over everything influences their decision, and below that is education. Like, those are the two things that they'll say, if the person's on my level or above my level, then I'll respect them. But if they're not, I'll treat them like, I'll treat them like an idiot, basically.
Are you talking about the average, everyday Republican, or are you talking about a senator?
I'm talking about, like politics. Are you talking about everyday,
I'm talking about Tom from your workplace who listens to Ben Shapiro.
Oh, then yeah, fucking, he'll definitely probably, gay, black,
just like a Muslim family versus like who follows the law and takes care of their business, or like a Christian white family who like just breaks the law. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's more of that respect factor is what's key.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, that family's gonna say, hey, look, you have different religious beliefs, so you stay at your area, I'll stay at my area, and then we'll just leave each other alone, and you don't even have to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So, of course, yes, obviously, the law-breaking individual will probably be more of a headache for the neighborhood and Tom, and your average day, whatever.
That's the thing. If Tom had the choice to deal with one of those two people, you know who they're going to pick. They're going to pick, and I mean, you need to think, you kind of have to think about it more from like, okay, I'm an average person, rather than Republicans is this big evil amorphous blob that can be whatever I want it to be. Because you can take that the opposite way, and you can say, would a Democrat prefer next door a black guy who's a drug dealer, or like a white lady who has an American flag flying and her husband's overseas, in Iraq, and they're
super military
gun
families.
owners.
Yeah.
So or which one are they going to be more comfortable with? And realistically, they're going to want the law-abiding family. Like, despite the chirping about...
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
Historically speaking, right, for the human nature...
Yes.
You look at a common sense... And clearly, common sense decision, right? The white guy will pick, right? Even if he doesn't like Buddhists or Muslims or whatever, he'll pick a Muslim family before he goes after a law-breaking white male, which was the first example. Now, this example, yes, they would look at the pro-gun, white couple over the law-breaking black person,
over the guy who's going to be dealing crack
outside. And that's the most logical response that I would hope somebody would want to do. But again, people in the human nature goes opposite sometimes, and we just have no reason. There are times where people who have killed and mass murdered and say, "Why did you do this? What was your reason?" I don't have a reason. I just want to do it.
And that's exceptions. But I'm saying for the most part.
For the most part, yes.
Politics, yes. If everybody
common sense,
cuts
those
the
would be
bullshit aside, it's a respect thing. It's not a how you look or whatever. And I think when people, and it's mostly left-leaning people, try to push identity politics and try to say, well, you're gay, so you have to vote this way. Well, you're black, so you have to vote this way.
Yeah.
That defeats the purpose. Like, you can't tell me how to vote because of my gender or skin tone or
and it doesn't really give a choice almost.
Exactly. Like, you don't have a choice. You have to vote for this party.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Like, there is another option. You might not like it, but to write it off completely, like,
whether people want to admit this or not, I'm gonna say this. One of my favorite presidents of all time, when I was taken in high school, and even when I was an undergrad in college, when I took all my history courses, Nixon was always one of my favorite presidents. Like, I put FDR number 1 for me. I'll put Kennedy number 2, and then I'll put Nixon number 3 in terms of like my favorite like presidents of all time. And then like Obama be 4. But the reason I put Nixon in my top 4, he's a fucking Republican. But you know what? This was before the notion and the pre like that's the idea of saying like, oh, Republicans, they're racist. There's this, there's that. No, back then it was just okay. There's Republicans and then there's Democrats.
Yeah.
Which party is better?
Which beliefs do you want? Do you want which political views do you hold true to rather than
exactly
you're black, so vote this way?
Exactly, and just because if I'm a minority and I'm looking at, I can't just say, oh, I don't like fucking Nixon. I don't care about Nixon. He's a Republican. No, Nixon. Nixon opened up free trade with China. That was huge for the American market. Huge, fucking huge. Because from that point forward, our economy doubled and quadrupled for the next 10 to 15 years. So him, because of the whole Cold War situation, and with Korea, that whole thing blowing over proportion, that made us close our trade with China. But then of course Nixon opened it up, and then there you go, our economy grew. So, but now it's like you have either pick Democrat, oh you're Spanish, you're black, you're Chinese, or you're a minority, you have to fucking vote for them. You have to vote for Democrat.
Yeah, you have
even if the candidate is complete shit, they have done horrible, their resume sucks. No, you have to pick them. Why? Because
even if think about it this way, look at the beliefs in Muslim religion. Like it aligns pretty closely with the Republican beliefs. I mean, like look at it like step by step, and it's like, oh, you know what? But no, because your skin is darker than spoiled milk, so you have to vote Democrat. And even though religiously, and maybe even like your own personal beliefs,
your own personal beliefs, like even if you put religion on the side, like if a person wants to go to a voting booth, they should not feel like, are we living in a country with dictators, or are we living in a country with democracy? And that's what it comes down to. Yeah. When somebody goes to a fucking voting booth, they should not say, wow, I'm going to get shitted on by my friends, coworkers, families, because I'm a minority and I'm voting for this person who's a Republican.
Yeah.
They should not feel like that. No, you should go in there, vote. I mean, goddamn it, vote for a fucking a leaf. I don't care. As long as you, my thing that I've always said for forever, as long as you went out there to vote, that's all that fucking matters. I don't care if you voted for a fucking teapot. When someone sits here and says, well, I didn't vote because I don't like the system. And I'm like, okay, you could have voted for independent parties. There are independent parties you could have voted for. And I'm sure one of them could have been qualified with your aligned and your beliefs.
Well, and the thing is, I understand that because in a lot of states, like if you're living in, California, New York, like blue states, you can vote whatever you want, and that shit is going to go the way it goes.
Oh, no, of course. Like Texas, same thing.
Yeah, if you're in Texas, if you're in Kentucky, Tennessee,
where that
shit is going to be red.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Your vote does not count.
Even if the TV's going to be like, oh, well, Texas, they're at like 40%. No, it's going to be red. It's been red since dawn of man. There's a handful of people in
Florida and a handful of people in Ohio whose votes matter, and everybody else, it's standard fare. So personally, I don't agree that votes matter. But I do agree with using your vote to back third parties.
Yeah, and even if when you're voting for the main presidency, right? At least going out there to vote, saying you have a choice. Because and let me just say this:
the primaries too.
And let me just say this: you can move to a different state. That does matter, right? At least you know that option is there.
I'm not moving just for a 4-year election.
But I'm just saying, at least that option's there. Like it's not like you're tied down there. But at the same time, you can vote for things where it's a little bit more evened out. And I've said this forever: your fucking city councils. Your superintendents, that is what's going to affect where you're fucking living. You're living in a city, right? And you're in America. There's lots of fucking cities here. You have, I'm sure, a mayor, right? A superintendent, and all these other city officials that people aren't voting. They're going to say, oh, we're going to vote for the presidency, and I voted one every 4 years. And I'll look at that person and say, okay, who's your city council? Who's your superintendent for your children and your kids for their education?
Some guy. Some lady.
Who's the mayor? Okay. But you voted for Hillary or Trump, right? That's what matters. Okay. Which a vote that's not going to count, as you said, because it doesn't. I hate to say it, but like a state's going to be either blue or red.
Your state is the way the state is.
Now Ohio,
local elections are important, and people totally blow over them because I didn't have time. I couldn't just go on Twitter and see what the councilman said about North Korea.
No, you just didn't think it's important. When it's so funny because people believe the presidency will affect their daily life. Yeah. When your fucking senators, your fucking city officials in your area is going to affect you. Like, I die laughing because I'm just like, you're arguing on all these, like, you're like on Facebook, you're arguing all this of how, like, horrible.
Sit there and fight about Donald Trump.
But then when I ask, like, something, like, simple, like, oh, did you vote for your mayor recently? Did you
My
vote?
what? What's a mayor?
Superintendent,
A super what?
city council,
I don't.
chief of police.
There's. You can vote for a chief of police.
I'm just saying.
Wow, I didn't know any of this.
Well, you just gotta go in
I'm
there.
not gonna. That's a lot of work and research.
Oh,
that I
okay,
have
no
to
problem,
really
no problem.
do.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Yeah. But it's just like that. Like that's how literally the conversation being. It's fucking sad.
But yeah, so fuck Democrats, I guess.
Now we'll.